It's Friday, February 19. Welcome to your Barbados Today Morning News Update. The director of the Psychiatric Hospital, David Leacock, says there are growing calls for assistance to deal with mental health issues, and of concern is the nation's youth. This follows the second suspected suicide of a young male in less than a week.
The individual is obviously very important for us because what is going to push you to put a suicide isn't going to push me and vice versa. So there are many factors that normally will lead to or be at play or interplay when a person gets to the point of suicide. But for a young person, many things that go into it as well, including interactions as far as social and welfare, are critical for them. So we're hopeful that persons find ways that they can cope, whether as I said it's through interaction with their friends or developing new peer groups via social media and whatnot. We all have, at some point, have to learn to adapt. I guess it's easy to say, but it's challenging for some persons as they're accustomed to operating in one particular way to suddenly have to try to reframe how they view things or how they see things and to try to adjust in these circumstances. So we're hopeful that persons, if they do need help, can reach out and that we in turn are able to assist those that reach out for help.
Leacock noted that the Psychiatric Hospital offers a 24-hour hotline through its assessment unit to provide immediate counseling if possible or to schedule appointments with mental health professionals. The hospital director, however, disclosed that the Ministry of Health has been working closely with consultant psychologist Dr. Joy Su to reactivate the suicide hotline.
The Ministry of Health has been working recently through the Dr. Su, who's currently on the the HEOC, has been working towards us reactivating or entering into partnership towards getting a hotline up and going again. Because we recognize that sometimes persons may not feel comfortable, let's say, calling the hospital itself, but having an entity where they believe is anonymous and they don't have the necessity to give all their details, but they can still get help, might allow some persons to reach out and get the help that they desire.
In other news, the COVID-19 pandemic continues to hammer Barbados' tourism sector. At a virtual news conference on Thursday, Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Senator Rudy Grant, reported a massive drop in arrivals for January when compared to last year.
I'm referencing January in 2020. We would have had 61,218 visitor arrivals in January of 2020. In January of 2021, that would have been 4,285 visitor arrivals, and that represents a decline of 93%. In our major source markets, the United States declined by 95%, Canada declined by 94%, the United Kingdom declined by 93.5%, Germany by 93%. So the decline in terms of the visitor arrival numbers for 2021 has been significant.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the BHTA, ROACH, remains optimistic that the sector will rebound, albeit slowly. He says there's still high demand in key source markets for Barbados.
That we've been having regular conversations with the players in the source markets, the US, UK, Canada. And as you know, while we're faced with a lockdown right now in the UK and the Canadian markets, when we speak with the tour operators in those markets, as well as with the BTMI teams who represent us in those markets, the feedback that we are receiving across the board is that Barbados is still high in terms of people's search results. The demand for Barbados remains high. The issue, of course, is that while people want to travel, they simply cannot travel at this time. Because, even with the UK market, they're talking about making it illegal to travel. That level of demand for Barbados in particular, we do not expect that will go away.
Government has been borrowing at a dramatically low interest rate of just 1%. So says Senior Economic Advisor to the Mayor Motley administration, Kevin Greenidge. During an interview with the CBC's Lisa Laura this week, Greenidge said the move has been paying off in a number of areas.
Every developed country must borrow, but when you borrow, if you borrow and trade in the whole thing, when you come pay back, you earn it. But if you borrow, build roads and build infrastructure and invest in different things, you will earn to pay back. So it's important the interest rate. Prior to the BERT program, because the debt was on substance, people only went into line at astronomical rates like 12 and 13 and 14%. Now it's 1%. So because of that, we've been able to, you fix the fiscal you fix it there, you've got adequate reserves. And then you start to deal with impediments to growth, because you just can't get growth by doing anything. You know. In any economic program, whether it's the IMF support or your own homegrown program, growth is the last thing to get. You have to remove impediments to growth. Like we do a lot of reforms at customs departments to reduce the time it takes for people to get things out of the customs, make things smoother, implement risk-based analysis, improve the Asakula system, and do things like that. The Revenue Authority, you do the large taxpayers unit, you do different things. Town country planning, you reform the way you do business.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news, be vigilant. Bahamian authorities report the country is making headway in its fight against COVID-19, but they warn citizens they cannot afford to be reckless. Matthew Moxie of Eyewitness News tells us more.
The coronavirus curve is flattening, according to Chief Medical Officer Dr. Pearl McMillan, who says despite a recent jump in cases due to a workplace exposure, new case numbers are beginning to look promising. But how accurate are these numbers? This, as she says, it remains a challenge getting lab results from testing centers.
What I say to you that we are getting the reports from all sites that are doing rapid antigen test. No, I will not say that. We continue to reach out to sites that we know are testing, requiring that they, make that information available to the disease surveillance unit in a timely manner for us to be able to monitor what is happening with the rapid antigen test and those that are being referred on for real-time PCR.
Health officials reported last month that 41% of travelers who stayed 5 days or longer in the Bahamas failed to comply with government's travel protocol to undergo a follow-up rapid test. While not having specific numbers, Dr. Millen says it has gotten better.
But we have improved the requirement for testing. We have improved the numbers, the percentages associated with those that testing.
New coronavirus variants are throwing yet another wrench at the idea of reaching herd immunity, sparking reinfection concerns.
We did have one or two situations where persons who would have been previously infected would have actually passed the period and would have been reinfected.
On the international front, NASA's Mars rover, Perseverance, the most advanced astrobiology lab ever sent to another world, streaked through the Martian atmosphere on Thursday and landed safely inside a vast crater. It's the first stop on a search for traces of ancient microbial life on the red planet.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin seeking the sands of past life.
A burst of celebration to mark the end of a 7-month journey through space and the beginning of a new mission to explore the red planet. NASA's Perseverance rover touched down on Martian soil Thursday after a complex series of landing maneuvers, decelerating from nearly 20,000 kilometers per hour down to zero in what Mission Control had dubbed the 7 minutes of terror.
Everything went pretty much according to plan, and when I heard the touchdown signal come back and saw the first image, I cannot tell you how overcome with emotion I was.
Perseverance's first image transmitted from Mars, a dusty black and white photo from a camera mounted on its underside, now begins its real work. The SUV-sized 6-wheeled rover is the most advanced biology laboratory ever sent to another planet. Its primary mission is to explore the Jezero crater, site of an ancient river delta, to search for evidence of microscopic life from billions of years ago, when the planet was warmer and water still flowed there. To do that, it will use a 2-meter-long arm to drill into the surface, collecting dozens of samples to be sealed in tubes and set aside for later retrieval by another rover. NASA hopes to bring the samples back to Earth by 2031.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.